In the vast expanses of the cosmos, there was a primordial goddess whose exceptional powers shaped the universe and everything within it. Her name was Nana Buluku, and she alone formed the stars, planets, and galaxies with a mere thought. Nana Buluku, an awe-inspiring African goddess, is known across ages and cultures as the Great Mother and the supreme creator of all life. Our story unfolds in the mystical realms of African mythology, where Nana Buluku's presence looms large. Her ebony skin shimmered like the magnificent constellations that adorned her celestial abode, and her eyes twinkled with the fullness of the universe itself. It is said that her wisdom extended far beyond human comprehension, for she knew every secret that the cosmos ever held. In the dawn of creation, Nana Buluku's power transcended anything known to humanity. She breathed life into the vast emptiness and sparked the enchanting dance of celestial bodies. It was then that she ushered forth her divine twins, Lisa, the sun god, and Mawu, the moon goddess. It was their destiny to rule the realms of day and night, bringing balance to the worlds above and below, amidst the cosmic symphony of the skies. Our mighty goddess felt the stirrings of life deep within the boundless ocean of her essence. From the churning waters, the earth was born, a monument to Nana Buluku's creative prowess. It was upon this pristine canvas that she continued her intricate work, weaving the fabric of life and populating her creation with plants, animals, and, eventually, human beings. But Nana Buluku's work was far from over. As the Great Mother, she nurtured and protected her creations, endowing them with purpose and resilience. Her love infused the earth with bountiful harvests, and her wisdom illuminated the minds of great kings and queens. To this day, her followers seek her guidance when traversing the challenges of life. As the sun sets and the moon rises, the stories of Nana Buluku captivate the hearts of children and adults alike. This regal, all-powerful goddess is a testament to the boundless creative potential of the universe. She serves as a resplendent beacon, inviting us all to recognize the spark of divinity within ourselves and each other. In the sacred tales of Nana Buluku, let us all find reflection, wonder, and inspiration. For within her immortal embrace, the wonders of creation await, enticing us to explore and cherish the world she has so lovingly crafted for us. Through her story, we are reminded of the great power that we hold in our own hands, the power to create, nurture, and leave a lasting legacy on Earth.
Last week on this show, a guest shocked the table by arguing in part that slavery in America can't just be blamed on one race, and that museums put too much focus on the role of white people who participated in that terrible institution. And now tonight, that same argument is being pushed by the President of the United States. Donald Trump says that one of the reasons for his crackdown on Smithsonian museums is, quote, everything discussed is how bad slavery was. What we try to do on this program is create a platform for discussion and debate that reflects the very real differences that exist in this country. It's what echo chambers in our society fail to do, frankly. But on this topic, it's important to say objectively, slavery was indeed bad. It was evil, the nation's original sin. And it is impossible to understand the true history of this country without fully grappling with slavery's impact. Simply because of their birthplace and the color of their skin, the bodies and spirits of black men, women, and children were exploited for profit and power. They were forced onto ships, bound by shackles and collars that ripped off their skin. One older man described it as iron entering our souls. Some chose to jump into the waters infested with sharks rather than feel that iron. Now, once they arrived on this very soil, they were forced to work by way of the whip, despite being starved, sleep-deprived, threatened, tortured, physically and psychologically. They were auctioned off, humiliated, fearful, and separated from their families and their children. Black women and girls were raped and sexually assaulted. Many were brutally murdered and mutilated. Now, this endured for decades, centuries. And even in the places where slavery was not legal, institutions from our banks to universities were built on enslaved labor in both the North and in the South. And for many of the white Americans who did not personally own slaves, they benefited from a caste system that concentrated wealth and political power in their hands. So, when we acknowledge the existence of black people who operated George Washington's Mount Vernon or the black hands that built the White House, we are acknowledging the existence, the perseverance, and the contributions of the souls that white supremacy sought to erase. Those people built families, they developed a culture, they were the keepers of the faith, cultivators of community. And they are the ones who deserve credit for forcing America to rid itself of the stain of slavery. Now, all of this information, these stories are from the Smithsonian's African American History Museum. And I share this not as a lecture for you, but as a lesson. America, the superpower, is largely possible only because of the superpowers of people who went lifetimes without the same rights of generations who were boosted from their backs. True history should include everything. Yes, the evils and the horrors too. And museums are supposed to be places that protect those stories, the images, the lessons, the very things that inform so much of our current state of our republic, from racism to poverty. No matter how painful, or in the president's words, how horrible the lesson. Now, just listen to one formerly enslaved man describe what slavery is like in his own words.
You know what I'd rather do? If I thought that I'd ever be a slave again, I'd take a gun and just end it all right away. Because you're nothing but a dog. You're not a thing but a dog.
Honor and respect, honor and respect, honor and respect. Greetings and salutations. It is another edition of Revolutionary Hoodoo, New Orleans Voodoo Secrets and Recipes. Brought to you by, empowered by, supported, promoted, produced, and sponsored by NOIVD, New Orleans International Voodoo Day. Through our international partnership, New Orleans International Voodoo Day becomes a major annual event in New Orleans, bringing peace, relief, and healing and connection. New Orleans with Benin, Haiti, and the ATR community globally, the major points of the trans-African slave trade and hubs of voodoo, as well as all nations where African traditional religions are practiced, come together in one space, one place, and one time, in a healing circuit and drawing visitors from around the world. We continue to invite you to join us, to participate, to volunteer, to sponsor and support and promote NOIVD, New Orleans International Voodoo Day. We're in our third annual International New Orleans Voodoo Day, and we continue to invite you to visit us at www.vodouday.org. Again, at www.voodooday.org, VODOUDAY.org. And we're certainly grateful for your active love, participation, and support here in the live chat. Greetings, Elijah Lamont. We certainly appreciate you and welcome you to this shared sacred space. Greetings, Nina Lloyd, faithful participant. Britt Brat Dash, thank you so much for continuing to show up and be present in this sacred space. And we will reintroduce our beloved co-host, the Queen Mother, Sister Toni Martinez, as well as Elder Reggie, known as Green Soap on this platform, Shrine of the White Cloth. I will reintroduce them and open their mics momentarily. On our last podcast, I briefly shared about the history, the legacy of root work, conjure, particularly root medicine, with its antebellum Southern roots and beginnings, and even into present day demonstrations of root work or root medicine in particular. And we can't really discuss root work conjure root medicine without the legacy of Dr. Buzzard. And again, continuing the narrative of root work and hoodoo demonstration in the Carolinas, and particularly in South Carolina. Dr. Buzzard and root work are intricately connected, and yet both terms defy concrete definitions. Katrina Hazard Donald offers this working definition of hoodoo: the indigenous herbal healing and supernatural controlling spiritual folk tradition of the African American in the United States. In her work, Mojo Working, the Old African American Hoodoo System, published by the University of Illinois Press in 2013. Traditional West African folk medicine and magic were adapted by African American healers and conjurers on the plantation to fill a void of healthcare to supplement Western religious practices. Root workers, sometimes called conjurers or witch doctors, use herbs, roots, spells, religious rites, and potions to influence outcomes. And often the root workers took a pseudonym when they became practitioners of hoodoo, voodoo, or conjuring. A variety of terms were used to connotate root work: mojo, juju, conjure, black magic, hoodoo, and voodoo, among others. And of the many root doctors and conjurers working in coastal South Carolina, the most famous was Stephanie Robinson, 1885 to 1947, of St. Helena Island, aka Dr. Buzzard. He was most noted for chewing the root during trials to confuse juries, prevent convictions, or minimize sentences. His law enforcement nemesis was Sheriff James Edwin McTeer Jr., and it is said that Robinson learned the conjuring trade from his enslaved African grandfather. After his death in 1947, other members of his family adopted the name Dr. Buzzard. In more recent time, the term Dr. Buzzard has become a title indicating a root doctor rather than a reference to any particular person. The lifespan of Dr. Buzzard is based on information given on his South Carolina death certificate, again suggesting he was born in 1885 to 1947. And surely throughout the Deep South in particular, and certainly the Mississippi Delta leading up into the Midwest, we saw and continue to see a continuation of root medicine, if not root work, and conjure outright. A conjure doctor, and now I'm sharing from the beloved Denise Alvarado, whom has featured me and honored me in at least 3 of her publications. She offers that a conjure doctor is the name given to a person who works roots for the purpose of healing or harming and manipulating people, places, and things for a specific purpose. The conjure doctor holds near and dear the belief in conjuration and magic stemming from the ancestral knowledge of his or her forebears. Seemingly strange beliefs in the power of herbs, roots, bones, graveyard dirt, and a variety of curios, both natural and human made, fill the conjure doctor's trick bag. Conjure doctors also go by the names hoodoo doctor, spiritual doctor, hoodoo root doctor, root worker, conjure worker, hoodoo practitioner, and conjure man or conjure woman. Conjure doctors can be male or female and are found in every rural community where their supernatural powers are implicitly believed in. The source of their powers varies from conjure doctor to conjure doctor, and is often attributed to things such as being born with a caul or a veil over one's face, being born with the seventh son or the seventh daughter, of the seventh son or seventh daughter, having learned from an elder, mentored, apprenticeshiped, initiated under elders, often well known conjurer, having had a divine relationship with God or having received special powers from the spirits. And nowadays, many people learn from teachers on and off the internet, though gaining knowledge in this manner does not guarantee the person has any supernatural powers, as was implied in the past by virtue of holding the title of conjure doctor or root doctor. And sometimes folks did not see being born with the gift as something desirable. And there were things that could be done to remove the gift of sight, especially if the individual began to have disturbing visions. For example, Uncle Henry Barnes, who says he was born in 1358 near Sugarsville, Clark County, Alabama, shared the following in the Alabama ex-slave narratives. My mammy said I was born with a discerning eye to see the spirits, and I said something like a cow with no head. So many So Mammy made me stir the fresh lard with which they written hit. Oh my goodness. So Mammy made me stir the fresh lard when they was written hit, cause that cures you of seeing the spirits. After I stirred the lard, I didn't see them no more. And documenting conjure doctors and spiritual mothers is a work in progress. I have included healers and faith healers, granny women, hoodoo priests and priestesses, midwives, spiritual doctors, reverends and reverend mothers, and all forms of healers who utilize various forms of conjure in their work. And just to name a few, Charles Harrison, C.H. Mason was an American Pentecostal holiness and denominational leader. He was a founder, chief apostle, and first senior bishop of the Church of God in Christ, the largest Pentecostal church in the United States. And according to Jeffrey Anderson in his book Conjure in African American Society, he used roots to supposedly discern God's will, a practice already familiar to those who had experience with hoodoo. Dr. Jim Jordan of Menai's Neck in Hertford County, who practiced until his death in 1962, enjoyed a reputation as healer and helper and drew clients from several states along the eastern seaboard. You can certainly research more about Dr. Jim Jordan. Spiritual Mother Maud Shannon with the Spiritualist Church of New Orleans. Gullah Jack, who was said to have passed away, transitioned July 12, 1822, also known as Conjure Jack or Counter Jack, and sometimes referred to as Gullah Jack Pritchard. He was an African conjurer known for aiding a free black man named Denmark Vesey in planning a large slave rebellion that would become known as Denmark Vesey Slave Conspiracy in 1822. Marie Steele, Black and Cherokee Indian conjure woman from Washington County, Georgia, great grandmother of artist Igna Kimberly Brown, and many others who have been documented and noted throughout history. And so we continue our conversation as I unmute my co-host, my first priest, my Black Hawk Voodoo Wild Man is now present with us, Joshua Nylan Tanner, then our beloved Queen Mother, Sister Toni Val Martinez, and then our beloved Elder Reggie, Green Soap, Shrine of the White Cloth. Greetings and salutations of one and all. Please come on in. And thank you so much for your active participation in the chat.
Hey, everybody out there listening, the panel, Brother Joshua, Elder Reggie, Divine Prince.
Mm-hmm.
I had a question I was thinking about. If somebody came to you and they said they believed they had a hex on them and you remove the hex, do you send it back to the person who put it on them?
That depends. For me, and I'm sure Elder Reggie has his own system of application. For me, I don't do anything without Odoo. Nothing. Without the Fa, Afa, Dafa, Ifa, all the names that it is categorized under. I do nothing without first casting Odoo. It is the capsule of information from where I address questions, concerns, but more importantly, the fix, the repair, the application necessary to bring balance and the ultimate fulfillment of the request of said client, but more importantly, the fulfillment of destiny. Now, the Odoo would determine, origins of said, practice, and possible retributive messaging would certainly come through the Odoo. Now, I also, and this is probably closer and more akin to hoodoo, root work, and conjure, the usage of black obsidian. I swear by black obsidian for a few reasons. One, as a truth stone, black obsidian and a strong, clear quartz stone can bring the truth to the surface. And the clear quartz helps to certainly clarify, but then send that energy away, either back to the source in some cases, or back into creative space. Just a quick quantum metaphysical scientific fact. All energy was created at the Big Bang. Light, dark, good or bad, whatever we want to call it, all energy was created at the Big Bang, and energy is said to be eternal and can only be recreated, if you will, relocated, transformed, transmuted. And so I swear by the power of polished black obsidian, and particularly in the spherical form, because they often create a bullseye pattern effect. Sometimes it's called watermelon tourmaline, silver sheen tourmaline, golden sheen tourmaline, are all forms of this polished spherical black obsidian, which connects us to the power of the black hole. And we understand that the black hole is said to be strong enough to pull all energy, all matter, even light into it. And it's not just crushed and destroyed, if you will, but it is then released from the other side of the cosmos in a pure, fine line of white light, birthing new creation, new realities. So energy can be relocated, recycled. We clean ourselves and wash it down the drain, but it has to go somewhere, and it's then recycled again through nature. So depending on the Odoo and the sort of the fuel behind the activity, I will either send it back to the source, to the sender, or into the creative space through the black hole, using black obsidian.
What about you, Elder Reggie?
Peace, Sister Toni, Divine Prince, Brother Joshua, and the collective audience in the chat. Divine Prince, that was an excellent question. I don't know much about the how to work with gemstones in general like that, but the way I would approach it is I do divination also. I'm very well with the Fa, Ifa, and the rest of them, but that form of divination just wasn't in my calling. So I started working with Melodoma Somé, and I used a form of divination out of Burkina Faso, West Africa. it's more relying on the spirit to give me insight on what's going on with that client, if they've been hexed or someone done something negative in their sphere. But also, just with candle magic, there's a such thing called a reversible candle, which is half black, half red. Some people call it a shoe candle, but anyway, you can have a client, you can light one of those for a client with good intentions, and also have that information sent back to the sender.
Interesting. I'm kind of like that too, where it's like in my spirit what to do
Mm-hmm.
with it. But honestly, most of the time I send it back to, I return the sender.
But what
I
method do
return the
you
sender.
but Sister Toni, what methodology you use? You just use your thought and pure thought and intention?
Yeah, I just listen to what they're saying. I do a reading. I close my eyes and I wait for that voice inside of me to tell me what's going on. I ask them some questions. I tell them some things that they surprised that I even know. I ask them who they think it is, and I just listen to the universe basically. I don't use cards or divination and stuff like that.
Okay. Well,
I
I
just
understand.
I just
Just one.
basically do it.
But Sister Toni, I want to chime in, not taking away from your good intentions in the way you do it. When we use a divination system, there's usually a prescription of what we call an EBO, EBO, or there's something that you have to do from the divination to shift that energy, because hexes, spells, we call them darts, and once the sender of that dart release it, we're talking something real and tangible that could really affect the person. And sometimes belief system and good intentions is just not strong enough to stop the effect of that dart penetrating its target. And so the way I was taught was, okay, the target, I'm the target, the dart been sent. I have to do something to move the energy into the placebo. Let's say the placebo is a chicken. Let's say the alternative is a root, as we speaking of in this class, or a cup of salt and water. I have to get that dart redirected into something, and not just the way I was taught with it. I'm not saying it's better than just pure intentions the way you do it. I'm just speaking on an alternative way and how I've been taught to deal with things like that.
Well, I understand where you coming from, but the thing of it is, I was never taught any kind of way. I just automatically pick up on stuff and feel stuff and say stuff and see stuff. And what I've learned from, my mother and putting all that together, I always could see stuff as a child on people and stuff and see different things. I almost got taken from my mother, my foster mother, by the foster agency, because I told the social worker lady, that I saw demons. And I saw a demon by her. And that made me go to Charity Hospital School of Psychiatry.
That's too funny.
Yeah, I did. I mean, I was a child, like 6 or 7. And I told her she had a demon by her. I see demons, and you got a demon by you. And the lady was like, a demon? Even though my mama had told me ever since we was together, never tell anybody what I see and what I do. I just couldn't help it. It just blurted out to the social worker. I just told her, and the next thing I know, my mama mad because we got to go to the psychiatrist.
But as children, I mean, children. I feel like children are more sensitive. How y'all doing this evening? Elder
Hey,
Reggie and Toni.
Mhm.
I think children are more sensitive and they're more innocent in terms of their mind. So you're able to not you be able to see the raw and uncut nature of those things as an innocent onlooker as a child. I remember I remember a couple of times of me doing that as a child with family members at Thanksgiving and Christmas and stuff. I'm like, something ain't right about this, man. Something ain't right about you. You need this, you need that. And so I get what you're saying. And like some people have that gift of being able to what Sister Toni was talking about, being able to, you know, with their intentions, being able to tap into that universe and actually get information. I operate that way sometimes. I remember one time my cousin, actually this was a year ago, my cousin had I forgot what type of gemstone it was, but it was some type of stone some woman gifted to him. And I asked him, I didn't even know that he had anything on him, but I felt like he had something on him. I was like, man, I asked him, I was like, what do you have on you? I'm like, I said, you're around me right now, but I feel like something is not right. So I know it ain't you. I said, what is it that you have? Who gave you something? And he pulled this stone out. I can't remember what it was because eventually it actually disappeared after I told him about it and told him that it might be dark magic. And he took it and he slammed it on the ground and it just literally vanished in there into smoke. So I would say, you know, there's ways of everybody has their methods and gifts and talents, and spirit speaks to people in their own unique way. Sometimes we're very diverse people, so we have power that diverse too, and abilities that's diverse. So
Mhm.
Divine Prince, you remember the black lawyer that worked at 650 Poydras with the bald head? He was young, and he was very nice looking and friendly.
Just vaguely.
One time I was in the lobby of the building and he shook my hand and I saw him with 3 kids. Now his wife at the time had just had a baby. I saw him 3 kids standing at the podium with balloons and confetti falling with red, white, and blue. And when I shook his hand, I blurted out, "You're gonna be a great politician." And he said, "Oh no, not me. I'm not gonna be a politician." Well, after Katrina, he got into the rebuilding of New Orleans, and guess who was a politician? And guess who had 3 children by that time?
who?
The man who I shook his hand and told him he gonna be a great politician.
Wow.
And all it did was for me to shake his hand to get that image in my head that he swore up and down that he would never be a politician. But I shook his hand that time and saw it. Now, I had shook his hand many times before because he always would shake the hands of people, you know, if he knew them, hold you on the shoulder, touch you on the shoulder, whatever. Um, but that particular time, that's the vision I saw, and it did come true. I mean, I don't know how it go, but it just, and like I told you, I feed on emotions too. How the person come to me, if they upset, if they anxious, if they whatever, if they high strung, I just tune into that and it like sets me off.
Hmm. Yeah, Sister Toni, I would say that's a natural born gift that you had, and I know you're grateful and thankful that you have it, but some of us don't have it like that, and so we have to employ tools and techniques to still to be helpful and try to get the job done.
I understand that, and the thing that I don't like about it is I can't call upon it when I want it.
Mm.
I can't really just like if I hang up the phone right now and think on something, I might not get an answer on that till 5 or 6 months later. And I just be sitting there and all of a sudden it'll come to me like a thought.
Hmm.
I can't do it most of the time at command. if I'm not working on no type of super energy.
But I
Because I
think
would
that
have been got
also,
them. I would have been got them lottery numbers.
I think that also supports the importance and the power of these ancient divination systems, which go beyond just, certainly require our gift and our skill and our ability to connect, but Afa, Dafa, Ifa, it's a science based in math, and so I'm able to utilize it with sharp accuracy.
And then again, I don't do stuff for a lot of people. I do stuff for myself. I don't do stuff for a lot of people, only close people close to me that know from coming to my house and, close conversation that I'm really into that. Is just closeness. So it's not a whole lot of that I do. And I guess even though Divine Prince been trying to get me to go further 4 years, literally, is something that I didn't want to go further into no more than my own, for my own use.
But as Divine Prince spoke of, like Dr. Buzzard and some of the great practitioners of old, all those men, I would say they was twofold. They had a natural born gift, but they also employed a technique at that time and date that they was living to also help their clients. Because they were successful, clients had seeked them out. I'm pretty sure people was coming from other states and other locale just to get their service. And that's
Oh,
what
I'm
made,
quite sure.
that's what made the mythical New Orleans hoodoo, voodoo, the days of old practitioners very powerful because the word of mouth had spread. And I'm thinking of Marie Laveau right now. She may have done 1, 2, maybe 3 actual miracles, but that preceded her reputations and people just piled on other things with her. But that natural gift to do 1, 2, or 3 miracles is enough to sustain you as a practitioner.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I agree. Well, our time is coming to an end, and I like for Elder Reggie to close us out. It's so nice you joined us, Brother Joshua, tonight.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, indeed.
It was good hearing your voice. Elder Reggie, take us out.
Yeah, thank you now. Divine Prince, once again, great topic, great show. Sister Toni, you brought up a real good topic. I liked it, that one. And Brother Josh,
Thank
thanks for
you.
your input. And I'm checking the chat out. We don't say much to you guys, but we read. But speaking of practitioners, we're doing a ritual prayer and application on Saturday, August the 23rd at 6:30 p.m., 710 Cluett Street. That's in the Bywater area of New Orleans. Practitioners and spirit warriors, come out, fight the power. And this is important because I happened to see today on the news where a certain president called himself walking the streets of D.C. as a personal protector for those who don't look like me and you. So this fight, even though it's metaphysical, but it's physical too on some levels, the games and the things they are employing. As Divine Prince opened up the show with the museum, the attack on the museum, the attack on the institution that's trying to tell just the truth of history. Nothing else, not being biased, just trying to reflect on history. These people are attacking that. With that, I say, lest we forget, the spiritual medicine of voodoo brings healing and relief from the shackles of slavery that binds the master and the slave to the same chain of social division. Ashe, ashe, ashe. Good night, everyone. We love you all.
Good night.
Good night, everyone.
Mm-hmm.
We'll see you tomorrow at 9 p.m. Central Standard Time.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So have you ever seen or experienced the effects of dark magic?
Oh yeah, when they broke into my house. While I'm gone, he pushes the air conditioning in. He went to the altars. That was a mistake. I cannot protect him. He violated my shrine. I can't protect him. I knew exactly who the person was. I immediately called every elder that I knew in town. This isn't about retribution. This isn't about my desire to want to do some kind of dark magic. You've got to get him to bring that back. 7 days later, he's dead.
What would happen if you actually let someone put a curse on you? We're speaking to a friend who said he doesn't believe in any of this. And I said, well, would you let someone put a curse on you? And he said, no way. I thought that was fascinating. Even people that don't believe don't really want to mess around with this stuff. I guess I don't really think I would have been affected, but as things unfolded throughout making this film, I definitely think that I've had a change of mind. I've always been fascinated by the world of the occult, the mysterious, the world of science and parapsychology. This stuff has always been fascinating to me, and I would not recommend people do this. What would happen if you actually let someone put a curse on you? We're speaking to a friend who said he doesn't believe in any of this. And I said, well, would you let someone put a curse on you? And he said, no way. I thought that was fascinating. Even people that don't believe don't really want to mess around with this stuff. I guess I don't really think I would have been affected, but as things unfolded throughout making this film, I definitely think that I've had a change of mind. I've always been fascinated by the world of the occult, the mysterious, the world of science and parapsychology. This stuff has always been fascinating to me, and I would not recommend people do this.
Bacardi.